Good evening. So today we are going to deal with reading part and welcome again to Edu Skills OET Made Easy. Our mission is to make you fall in love with OET. If you are watching this on YouTube, kindly consider subscribing the channel, give us a thumbs up if you like our work, and please share the link to your contacts so that we reach out to maximum number of OET aspirants, especially those who are financially struggling. The 15th question, what information can be found in the first paragraph? Tell me the heading words, shout out and type in
Information found.
information and first paragraph. That's mainly for beginners. Beginners should know. As soon as you get material, you have to mark the paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, option A, reference to some recent findings relating to heart disease.
Findings.
What is the heading word?
Recent findings.
Okay, recent findings. Then by option B, indication of the greatest risk factor associated with heart disease.
Risk
factor or greatest risk factor. Okay. Option C, mention of a misconception about the chief causes of heart disease.
Chief causes.
Yeah. Okay. Option D, figures showing the country with the highest mortality rate from heart disease.
Highest mortality rate.
Highest mortality rate is. Okay, so the concepts are these: findings, factors, causes, mortality rate, right?
Yes, Father.
Yes, Father.
Yeah. Heart disease is the greatest killer in the developed world today, currently accounting for 30% of all deaths in Australia. A concept which is familiar to us all is that traditional risk factors such as smoking, obesity, and genetic makeup increase the risk of heart disease. However, it's now becoming apparent that another factor is at play, a developmental programming that is predetermined before birth, not only by our genes, but also by their interaction with the quality of our prenatal environment. Okay. Come on now. Do you find something to be highlighted immediately?
However, Father, contrast word.
Okay. If there is a contrast word, as you skim through, read fast, skim through, you have to highlight that contrast word. And the Edu Skills strategy says, if there is a contrast word, you can just ignore what comes before it, and the answer will be definitely after the contrast word. Okay, from here, you have to find out if there is some connection with any of these answer options. Is it about are they speaking about recent findings, risk factors, chief causes, mortality rate? Anyhow, if you have a notebook, please take the notebook and a pen or pencil with you.
Yes,
Now, heart disease is the greatest killer in the developed world today, is the topic sentence. Main sentence is known as the topic sentence, and the main gist of the paragraph will be there. Now write heart disease on your notebook. Heart disease, heading. That is the main concept. Heart disease. Below that, you write risk factors. Risk factors. In front of risk factors, you can put a semicolon. Then traditional risk factors. Traditional risk factors. What are the traditional risk factors?
Smoking, obesity.
In front of traditional risk factors, write one below one. First one, smoking. Second one, obesity. Third one, genetic makeup. How beautiful the paragraph you see to understand. However, I always repeatedly told you, whenever there is a contrast word, whatever comes before the contrast word is not relevant for your answer. So you can just ignore the first part, whatever we have highlighted now, just to understand the concept I have highlighted. When they said heart disease is the greatest killer, they are giving what are the traditional risk factors for heart disease. Okay, then after that, they are saying, however, it's now becoming apparent that another factor is at play. Now, after however, is there some word reference to some recent findings relating to the heart disease, indications of the greatest risk factor? Do they speak about greatest risk factor?
No, Father.
No, they are speaking about heart disease is the greatest killer. Okay, they are not speaking about the greatest risk factor. A mention of the misconception about chief causes of heart disease. Do they speak anything about chief causes?
No, Father.
No, they are
No,
just
Father.
mentioning traditional causes and modern new causes, old causes and new causes that are found out. Figures showing the country with the highest mortality rate from the heart disease. It shows one country, but does it speak anything highest? Does it
No.
compare with anything?
No.
No.
No,
No, sir.
they don't compare at all. Only one country is mentioned, so you can't say highest. It's 30%. Okay, so ultimately, what is the answer?
A. Option A.
Option.
Yeah. See, now is
Recent. Synonyms.
now synonym is
Recent.
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 Understanding.
Yes. Yes. Any other synonyms or synonymous language? Becoming apparent. Findings.
Finding related.
Findings relating. Okay, findings. And that another factor. And again, I told you when there is a sequential expression, it's also an indication that will be the answer. Sequential expression, first one, second one, third one, first one, another factor, third factor. All these are sequential expressions. Then after hyphen, you know, whatever comes is just explaining that particular thing, what is said now. See, another factor at play. What factor? That's being explained now. A developmental programming that is predetermined before birth, not only by our genes, but also by their interaction with the quality of a parent prenatal environment. See here, before birth. Before birth. Whereas in the here, if you want, mortality rate, what when it happens? What does it indicate?
After
Is it
birth.
before birth, after birth?
After
So
birth.
in that way also you can eliminate that, right? The text is speaking about before birth, prenatal, and this one is speaking after birth. And greatest risk factor, no, only greatest killer is mentioned. No risk, greatest or great risk factor, only factor, risk factors, traditional and new. And whenever they speak about traditional, you know, the contrast will happen now. Now means recent or new or modern. So you have to keep out all these words. You have to keep in our diary of vocabs. You write traditional, is synonym is new or now or modern. Okay, or recent findings, anything you can say. So you can write here, recent findings, traditional, now. Tradition is opposite, recent and now is same. Hope that is clear. So it looks like this. Beautiful.